the activity on your own. So if na mo PDF copy or naka-print mo, no, and read with me and ibutang ko din yung answers. So for your own safety or so for your own reference na mo answer key sa kaninga drill, sa kaninga problems. Then we'll answer it together. Wow, kataas. All right, so we're already 49. Sige, let's start. Okay. Diretso na po ha. So number 1, the first step in the accounting cycle is to, so what's your answer here? What's your answer ninyo dito sa number 1, guys? So analyze, di ba? Okay. So the steps in the accounting cycle, so number 1 is analyzing the business documents or transaction. Number 2 is journalizing. Now, after you analyze the transaction, you journalize it, no? Depending on what you have understood or unsang unsay analysis nimo sa transaction. After that, you post it in the ledger, and after posting it in the ledger, all transactions in the ledger, you prepare your unadjusted trial balance. That's number 4 step. So record transactions in the journal, this is the second step. This is the first step. Adjust, later pa na siya. Posting, that's the third step. After sa posting, you prepare the unadjusted trial balance. After you prepare the unadjusted trial balance, you prepare the adjustments. So that's number 5. Then after preparing the adjustments, you prepare the adjusted trial balance. And after that, you prepare the financial statements. And after you prepare the financial statements, you prepare the closing entries. And that's number 8, you prepare a post-closing trial balance. And number 9, you prepare the reversing entries. Again, so question, guys. What are the steps in the accounting cycle now which are optional? Additional questions. Unsa steps sa ko gi-mention ganina ang optional. Sige. Number 1, unadjusted trial balance. Reversing, correct? No, the adjusted trial balance, correct? And the post-closing trial balance. So again, the unadjusted trial balance, the adjusted trial balance, the post-closing trial balance, and the reversing entries. Now, those are optional, meaning dili ka required nga himuon nimo no, to complete the accounting cycle. Correct. So let's jump to number 2. It is a systematic compilation of a group of accounts. So what's your answer in number 2, guys? The answer would be ledger. Correct. So let's give so again, ang number 2, this is the definition of a ledger. So letter A, unsa ni siya, sir, ang chart of accounts. Now, chart of accounts, guys, it's just a listing of all the existing accounts of the company. Existing accounts of the company, and part of the chart of accounts, unsa ang classification sa account. Say for example, accounts receivable. So ang contents sa chart of accounts, the accounts receivable would be classified as a current asset, no? And daghan pa siya mga details. So more siyang chart of accounts. Yung trial balance, similar lang siya sa ledger. However, the trial balance contains the balances, no, the debits and the credits. So trial balance means the summary, no, of all the accounts, no, and their respective balances. Next is the journal. So journal is used to record transactions. No? Natin ka journal, we have again the general journal and the special journals, so sales journals, cash receipt journal, purchases journals, and cash disbursement journals. Now, to give you another clear view, no, on asa ni sila nga point of the accounting process na ginagamit, so the journal nata diri sa recording phase or sa recording part, no? Ang ledger nata sa posting. So ang pag-record nato sa journal, di ba, ano akong journal recording. After na to record, ang mga record nato na ang mga accounts, ma-post na ang mga balances sa or ang transaction sa ledger. So journal is recording, ledger is posting. Now trial balance, nandito sa TV, no? It's in its own step. And again, chart of accounts, guide lang ni siya, or this is just the dili nato makita asa na-classify and asa dapat i-present ang mga accounts ni company. Okay. Sige. Number 3. So, which of the following would result to a net income for the period? Okay, let's analyze each one. Letter A, debit balance in the income summary account after closing income and expense account. So if debit balance atong income summary account, what does this pertain to? Or unsay pasabot ani? If debit balance atong income summary after closing the income accounts and the expenses accounts, is this a net income or a net loss? Net income, guys, or net loss? I'm seeing mixed answers. Okay. Sige, ako na lang mag-break. So it's net loss, di ba? Ang so I guess I can illustrate a little bit. So di ba? Ang niana si question after closing income and expense. So let's illustrate. Now if we close our income, say for example, sales. S lang kayo butang ha, sales. Kaya walay space. Sales ni siya, i-close atong sales, 10,000 ba atong sales? Nya, credit income summary. Ay, S lang kayo butang ha, 10,000. Now, kung i-illustrate nato siya nga net loss, to close out our net loss, let's say for example, expenses nato is 15,000. So to close out expenses, mag-credit ta og 15,000 to close out the expenses, and mag-debit ta og income summary 15,000. Now if we get the balance of the income summary, credit 10,000 versus debit 15,000, we would result to a 5,000 unsa nga balance debit. And we know that it's net loss. Kay bota nga net loss obviously because expenses is higher than revenue, di ba? Expense na to 15, ang na revenue lang nato 10. Kung i-simplify nato, nipalit ta og something for 15,000, we only sold it for 10,000. Therefore, it resulted to a loss of 5,000. So to look at it this way, no, ang effect ani is we have a debit of 5,000 sa atong income summary. So letter A would not result to a net income. So letter A is wrong. Let's go to letter B. Credit balance exceeded the debit balance in the balance sheet column of the worksheet. Okay. So, unsa man ni siya? Kung ang credit balance mag-exceed sa debit balance in the balance sheet of the worksheet, net income siya or net loss? Net loss. Di ba? Kung familiar ka mo sa katong pag ACC 102 ninyo, paghimo ninyo worksheet, di ba? Maghimo ka mo worksheet kung mas dako ang inyong credit, no? Sa yung debit, meaning magdungag mo debit. Na ang pagdungag sa debit, unsa man ang imo na to, ang kulang na, di ba, is income summary or to close out the net income. So to close up the net income, you debit again income summary, you credit, tama ba? Correct, wrong. you debit the capital account, sorry. You credit the income summary account. So that would result to a net loss. Okay. So letter A and letter B is wrong. Letter C, the difference between the debit and the credit in the income statement column is extended to the debit balance sheet column of the worksheet. Na similar lang gyapon nito sa letter B, no? Ang pasabot ani sa income statement, ang difference between the debit, which is the expenses, and the income, no, is to the debit balance. Meaning, atong debit is higher than our credit. So therefore, that is net loss. Diba debit nato is expenses, credit nato is revenue or sales. So if expenses is higher than revenue or sales, it would result to a net loss. So kaning letter C and letter D, kahibaw na kamudaan nga either one of the two is the answer. Diba kay if the other one is wrong, di ba bali-bali raman sila ng mga statements, kani credit, the debit, kani credit. Since this is wrong, arita automatically, we go to letter D. Okay? So the total of the credits exceeds the total of the debits in the income statement columns. Again, listen to me. If the total of the credits exceed the total of the debits in the income statement column, there is a net income, obviously, because again, credit is revenue or sales and debits are expenses. So if sales are higher than expenses, that is net income. Mura nang pasabot sa letter D. So accordingly, in the income statement or the statement of financial position columns, if the total of the debits exceed the total of the credits, there is also net income. Okay? Sige. Balance sheet akong gingon na statement of financial position. So bali siya. Again, if credit is higher than debits in the income statement, net income. In the balance sheet, if debit is higher than credit, that's net income. Okay. So answer number 3, letter D. So let's go to number 4. Which of the following statements about the accounting process is incorrect? So incorrect atong ginapangita, guys. So let's analyze each items. Letter A, all of the accounts of a specific business enterprise are referred to as a ledger, no? So this one, no, ang ledger, again, what's the definition? No, that is the systematic compilation of all the group of accounts. Compilation of a group of accounts. So kani, tanang accounts daw are referred to as a ledger. Now, these are the compilation of the group of account. So correct. Closing the books is not part of the accounting process. Incorrect. Okay. Letter C, like a balance sheet, the post-closing trial balance contains only real accounts, no? Letter C is correct, no? The post-closing trial balance contains only real accounts, correct? No, because, no, 'di ba, after naman ani sa closing, ang 'di ba ang gina-close nimo kay ang mga temporary accounts, no? Temporary. Once you close all your temporary accounts and you transfer all these temporary accounts to the real accounts, no, or to the equity accounts or to the retained earnings or the capital accounts ni sole proprietor, no? So mahabilin ana tanan kay mga real accounts na lang or mga balance sheet accounts. Lastly, the fact that an expense is recognized on the income statement indicates that equivalent outlay of cash has been made in the same period. Letter D is also wrong. Wait lang, naglibog ko. D is wrong. Obviously, di ba? I-explain ako. Sige, let me explain why letter D is wrong. Are you familiar with accruals? So, di ba? So, what are accruals? No, mga accrued expense. So, those are what? Can anyone here define what is an accrual? Ang pinaka-simple nga definition sa accruals. Na nag-ano. Sige, go.
Revenue is recognized when earned, sir, and not when cash is received.
In the expense perspective. Kung sa expense, kung ag-expense pa, it is an expense recognized but not yet paid. Diba? Correct.
Yeah.
So kung ingana siya, sayop ang letter B because niana man si letter D niana man si letter D nga there is an equivalent outlay of cash that has been made in the period. Wrong, di ba? Because na kay expense which is the accrued expense, mga accruals nimo, pero liability mo credit. So ang effect ana, no, there is an expense but there is no outlay of cash. Okay, can anybody here give me another example nga expense recognized pero walay outlay of cash? Unsa nga mga expenses nga unsa pang other expenses nga nag-recognize ng expense pero wala ka may gibayaran? Unsa man? Correct, no? Depreciation expense. Salaries payable is an accrual, no? So muna siya kung giingon kanina nga expense nga recognized pero wala pa nabayaran. So letter D is wrong. Letter B, i-revisit lang na ako number 4 guys ha. Kay letter B is closing the books. Closing the books. Ano siguro, di ba kay same ba ni siya nga statement as closing entries? Closing entries. Sige. The answer here is letter D. Like sa answer key, the answer is letter D. Letter B, I'll revisit because I think letter B is siguro na ay something sa wording, no? Closing the books. Gina-close lang nimo sa imong closing entries is only the income statement accounts, no? To make them from temporary to permanent. However, is that termed closing the books? Medyo ano man siya ay, medyo kanang sa ganito wag anak kanang Sige, basta ang answer na to ani letter D. O, na something sa wording ani sa letter B. Or basin sayop yun siya. Kay closing the books mangod or closing entries is part of the accounting process. So answer again, let's letter D. But I'll revisit you. Clarify lang na ko next meeting. Okay. So number 5. Any questions on number 4? Again, answer is letter D because there are expenses nga gi-recognize pero walay equivalent outlay of cash. Another example, again, is depreciation and recognition of doubtful accounts expense. No, wala tay outlay ana. So those are, that is just an estimate on how much receivable nga gi-recognize nato nga expected nato nga dili na ma-collect. Okay. So number 5, which of the following statements is not a reason for preparing end of period adjusting entries? Okay. So letter A, some transactions extend beyond one accounting period. So letter A, number 5 is letter D, correct. So letter A is correct, no? Again, number 5, letter D ang answer. This is the wrong statement, no? Letter A is correct because since transactions extend beyond one accounting period, ang ginatawag ani sa ila kung sa ano pa, diri na nato masukita ang mga mixed accounts. Example sa mga mixed accounts kay kanang mga prepaid rentals. 'Di ba? Ang usual nato nga ginahimo sa ACC 102, no, when we recognize when we adjust usually kanang mga prepaid rentals, no, i-recognize nato ang remaining asset, no, for those rentals not yet incurred, and i-recognize na to ang expense sa katong na incur na. Kaya usually mga rental, it would go over 1 year and mula pa siya sa ato ang cut-off period. Letter B, they help to properly measure the period's net income or net loss. Correct? No? Again, kanid ay very important ni siya guys. Very important. I-note ninyo guys, panote ko sa inyo kung na mga notes niya. Theory question ni siya and theory ni siya. When you are making an adjusting entry, there is always a temporary account and a permanent account. So tanang adjusting entries nimo na ay temporary account na ay permanent account. So example, di ba? Mag-adjust ka og rent expense, example prepaid rent, debit ka og prepaid rent, credit ka og rent expense, or rent expense, credit ka og prepaid rent. So rent expense is a temporary account or an income statement account, and prepaid rent is a permanent account or a balance sheet account. Again, all adjusting entries contains at least one balance sheet account and at least one income statement account. Balance sheet, permanent account, income statement, temporary. Okay. Letter C, mixed account should be split into their real and nominal elements. Nominal elements, this is just another word for temporary. Again, another word for temporary. Ang nominal. Okay. Again, number 6. Which of the following adjusting entries will not affect both the balance sheet and the income statement accounts? What's on the answer ani guys? Letter D. As what I've mentioned ganina, just bago lang, tanang adjusting entries will have an effect on the balance sheet and the income statement. So kani accrued income, di ba naatay mag-record tag income and mag-record ta og receivable. Letter B, prepayments using the expense method, mag-debit ta og prepayment, credit ta og expense. Unearned income using the liability method. Ang liability method, i-recognize sa itong mag-debit ta og liability, mag-credit ta og income. Okay, so both or from A to C, there is recognition of an entry which affects both balance sheet and income statement. And again, let me repeat this. Ganahan ko ini i-highlight. All adjusting entries involve an effect on both balance sheet and income statement items. Okay, so let's go to number 7. Reversing entries apply to all of the following except. Unsa man dire ang wala nato gina-reverse? Correct. Reversing entries does not affect depreciation. Okay. Now, to summarize, unsa dapat ang ginapang reverse nato because not all adjustments can be reversed, no? So please get your notes kung unsa mga ginapang reverse. So ang normally gina-reverse is number 1, accrued expenses, gina-reverse na siya. Expenses. Letter B, accrued income. Sorry ha, mouse man ako ginagamit. Pero anyway, kung iPad magyapon ko, maura magyapon akong agi. Accrued income. Letter C, prepaid expenses. Prepaid expenses. There is a qualification for prepaid expenses under expense method only. And letter D, pinaka-last nga gina-reverse na to, deferred income. Using or under the income method. Sorry. Sige. I'll just repeat it and again, panote na lang. Ang gina-reverse na to, accrued expenses, accrued income, prepaid expenses under the expense method, deferred income under the income method. Okay, so let's go to number 8. The following statements refer to the use of special journals. So special journals, examples of special journals again, sales journals, cash receipt journals, purchases journals, cash disbursement journals. Okay. So I think masabtan naman guro by the words itself. So statement 1, transactions that cannot be appropriately recorded in a special journals are recorded in the general journal. Correct, no? So general journal is the mora siya ang depository or mo siya dira kaga record sa tanang entries, no, or transactions which are not included in the special journals. Example of that is the entries for adjustments like depreciation, accruals, deferrals, Ana-ana. So statement 1 is correct. Sales of merchandise on account are recorded in the sales journal, while cash sales are recorded in the cash receipts journal. So correct or wrong? Okay. So again, ako na lang ibutang. Please na lang note. So sales journals, you only ang recording lang nimo sa sales journal kay only sales of merchandise on credit. Again, please take note. Sales journal is only for sales of merchandise on credit. Now, cash receipts journal, ara nimo ginabutang tanang cash receipts nimo, including sales of merchandise on in cash, no, on cash, in cash. Now for purchases journal, so purchases of merchandise again on credit and cash disbursement. So sa pasabot sa disbursement, pagawas, no? Or outflow of cash. So gasto, cash disbursement. So all payments of cash for any purpose are recorded in the cash disbursement journal, including cash purchases. Okay. So statement number 2 is also correct. So wrong na ni sa A, only statement 1 is false, is true. Only statement 2 is false, is wrong man pod. But it could either go to letter C or letter D. So let's go to statement 3. Statement 3, purchases of any items on accounts are recorded in the purchase journal, while acquisition of any items for cash is recorded in the cash disbursement journal. Unsa man to ko gi-mention ganina? Statement 3, true or wrong? True or false? True or false? Unsa guys? True or false? Number 3. Why is it false? Sige, correct. So take note on the wording. Kaning dali siya makalibat siya actually kung dili ka mag-pay attention sa details. Niya na siya, purchases of any items. Any items. Mo ni siya ang statement na nakapa-false ani. Any items. Because ang ginabutang lang nato sa atong purchase journal kay purchases of what? Dili any items. Purchases of specific merchandise or inventory. Merchandise or inventory. Depende kung unsay mong term ana. Okay. So that's for number 8, letter C, no? Statement 3 is false because gibutang diri any items wherein it should only be purchases of merchandise only. Okay, so number 9, when an entity sold some of its office machineries on account, the entity enters the transactions in what? Asa nimo ginabutang ang purchase of machineries on account? Asa nimo ibutang? Correct, no? Letter B. Sales journal, kay mag-record lang ka og sales of merchandise on account. Cash receipts journal, for all cash receipts. Cash payments or cash disbursement journal, all cash disbursements. Now, kaning office machineries on account, ibutang ni siya nimo sa imuhang general journals. Dili siya pwede mabutang sa purchases journal because again, strictly for merchandise inventory only ang disbursement or ang mga purchases journal. So number 10, very easy number 10. I'm not gonna explain this. The accounting equation must remain in balance all throughout each step in the accounting cycle. So, 11. The financial information qualities of faithful representation, verifiability, and freedom from error are typically applied in which of the following step of the accounting cycle? Hindi ko familiar ani. So faithful representation, verifiability, and freedom from error are applied. Okay, gets. Okay. Sige. Di ba? Kaning number 11, so these are the mga qualitative characteristics of financial information. Now, in order for you to correctly present, correctly state your financial statements, no, you must, no, do letter T, no. Kailangan ka maghimo og adjusting entries. No, adjusting entries are necessary, di ba, to present fairly your financial statements, no. Sample, PPE. PPE, kailangan nimo og adjusting entries to record the depreciation and ang purpose of recording of depreciation so that you can present your property, plant, and equipment at its depreciated amount. Similarly, for your accruals and deferrals, you do the adjusting entries to present it correctly. No? As ang expense na portion, as ang asset na portion, or ang liability na portion. So, that is, gina-apply nato na siya sa ato ang adjusting entries. Okay? So the main purpose of the adjusting entries is to adjust the balances of some accounts to properly measure the current period's net income or net loss, since some transactions extend beyond one accounting period. So another purpose of adjusting entries now is to split mixed accounts because all adjusting entries involve an effect on both balance sheet and income statement items. Okay. So reversing entries. Now I've mentioned it before. Kung unsay purpose, no, for reversing entries. So reversing entries are normally prepared for prepaid, accrued, or estimated items. Is number 1 correct? No, wrong siya. No, because of the last statement. Estimated items. No, one of the estimated items kanang mga bad debts. So bad debts are not reversed. Number 2, necessary to achieve proper matching of revenue and expenses. So dili ni siya ang purpose ka reversing entries, ang matching of revenue and expenses. This is more applicable to adjusting entries, no, number 2. No, for matching of revenue and expenses. So number 2 is for adjusting entries. Ang nakarong ani sa number 1 kay di siya for reversing, this is for adjusting. Number 3, desirable to exercise consistency and establish standardized procedures. Correct. Number 13. Unearned revenue can best be described as what? As an amount? So unsa man? Easy ra kayo ni. Unearned revenue. Na-collect nimo pero Unsa man? Wala pa nimo na render ang service, no? Not currently matched with expenses. So why is it worded this way? Ano maguna siya? Di ba, when you are incurring, say for example, when you are incurring for services, there is cost incurred. Say for example, kung ano ka, kung computer technician ka, so dili pa, unearned pa ka, kung wala pa ni example ka ng, kung owner ka sa isa ka business wherein you have a team of computer technicians, nga ang gapang kana repair, maintenance ka ng mga computer, nya unearned pa siya, ay wala pa kay expense because ang expense ana nimo, di ba, kung mag-render na kag service, so kanang mga technicians nimo bayaran man na siya nimo. So ilang mga out of pocket expenses, blah blah blah, since wala pa man sila na service, so wala pa kay mabayaran. Or wala pa sila yung mga ma-render ng mga cost of services. So meaning, i-defer nimo ang imong or unearned nimo kay wala pa kay na-render nga or wala pa ka na-match nga expenses or mga cost of service or goods sold. Okay, so not currently matched with expenses. Number 14, which of the following is a permanent account? Letter D, no? Both AR and inventory. So inventory is an asset, AR is an asset. So assets are permanent accounts or real accounts. And sales is, anong na yung sales receivable? Sales. Sales sa magyapon na siya. So more or less that's sales on accounts. Number 15, an accounting record So again, guys, reminders for permanent account, guys. So number 14, reminders on permanent account, these are not closed, and temporary accounts like sales are closed. Number 15, an accounting record into which the essential facts and figures in connection with all transactions are initially recorded is called the Ansamani. So letter D, no? Unsa ni siya dapat ang answer, guys? If you're going to be replacing D, correct, journal, no? Again, journal, keyword lang jud nato ani, record. Again, pinaka-keyword lang nato dire, record. So this is letter D, and the answer should be journal. No, it's not ledger, it's not an account, it's not a TB. So let's go to number 16. Which of the following is true? Journals are used under both the double entry system and the single entry system. So actually, guys, ang journal man good, guys, it contains both a debit and a credit. So ang debit and credit, sorry, what siya ako na-explain last time. So again, journals contains both a debit and a credit. And this is only applicable under the double entry system, which contains at least one debit and at least one credit. Ang single entry system, makita lang siya ninyo sa kanang mga tindahan nga gamay ba, nga kanang listahan lang god, kanang kung naa siya binta, okay, lista, binta. So wala siya debit, wala siya credit. Ana siyang single entry. So letter B, accrual basis of accounting cannot be applied when using the single entry system. No? Pwede ra gyapon. The cash basis and accrual basis of accounting can both be used under the double entry system but not under the single entry system. Okay. Dahil lang, naglibog sa 16. Sure ko sa letter A and B. So under the single entry system, you can still use the accrual basis. Letter C, the cash basis and accrual basis can be used under double entry and systems but not single entry systems. Is wrong because again, contradicting siya sa B. Again, let me clarify ha. So A is obviously wrong. B is wrong also because you may still apply, panote na lang ko guys ha, you may still apply the accrual basis for the single entry system. And letter C is also wrong because diba, niya na siya nga pwede ra ka accrual basis and pwede ka cash basis under both the double entry and the single entry. Na wrong siya kaya niingon siya but not under single entry systems. So A, B, and C's are wrong. So letter D, no, by way of default is correct. Now, subsidiary ledgers are used under both double entry system and single entry systems. Now, subsidiary ledgers, again, so, di ba, sa ledger na to, natay general ledger and natay subsidiary ledger. Sige, let me check kung na ako'y ano din nga general ledger and subsidiary ledger ha, for a while. Para at least ma-familiarize mo ba kung unsay naong ana sa sub GL o SL. Para ma-distinguish ninyo. For a while, beyond international. An example. So this is the, again, I guess, quote unquote, this is the GL. So say for example, ano siya? Accounts payable. So accounts payable, kung mag-ingon tag GL, no, it only contains, asa na siya ang AP dito ay? It only contains the balance of the account. Kani. So nara siya balance. So man siyang GL, niya ang SL, which is, or the subsidiary ledger, contains the details. So, ang di bang total nato sa tong AP, sa tong GL is 117,809. So, masya tong GL. Niya, ang SL nato contains the details. So, kaning 121 kay, gi-appeal ang 126. O, kana. 126 kay napay duha din na tong AP. 126,559. Nya ang details ane sa 126,559 kay kani. So details ani kana. So mao ni siya ang naakay payable. Mao ni sila mga companies or mga businesses or mga payees, no? So general ledger is the summary of the summary of the balance, and the subsidiary ledger is the detail, no, including the aging. Kana ana siya ang difference between the SL and the GL. Now, going back, so under both double entry and the single entry, no, allowed lang gihapon na mag-keep ka og GL and SL. Sunod ato. Sige. So subsidiary ledgers, or the details of the accounts, are used under both single and double entry system. Number 17, if an entity uses the expense method. So expense method. So to explain to you guys what is the expense method, this is in relation with adjustment phase, no, or adjusting phase. Kung mag-ingon tag expense method, or no, to give you a background, I'm sure already familiar with this. Okay, this is just basic accounting. Di ba, when we are going to be recording expenses, especially ka na mga rents, mga salaries, blah, 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 or ka ng mga insurance expenses, kaya ang natay duha ka method to record it. So natay ginatawag na asset method, and natay ginatawag na expense method. Now, under asset method ta, when we recognize payment, say for example, mag-record ta og rent for 1 year, 1 year siya nga rent, so 2 years na lang rent. So 2 years nga rent, for 20,000, initial recording nato, we record an asset. Mogan na siya, asset method. So for 2 years na payment, of 2 years nga rent, kay mag-record ta as under asset method, prepaid rent, 20,000. Credit ta og cash, 20,000. Now, since 2 years lang siya, say for example, at year end, no, mag-present na to sa itong financial statements, mag-adjust na diba kay for 2 years man eh. Say for example, ang na-expire nga portion kay 10,000. So to adjust, we record the expense, rent expense, 10K. Ano na lang ha, sorry ha. Credit, prepaid rent. So what happens to our prepaid rent? From 20,000, gikredita na ito og 10,000, mahimo na lang siya og 10,000. And ang effect ana, naka-recognize ta og expense. So ang under the asset method, naatay asset na prepaid rent at the end of the year nga 10K, and naatay expense at the end of the year 10K. Now under expense method, take note, both are the same, but different na imong approach sa entries. Now, under the expense method, instead na mag-recognize ka og asset nga prepaid rent, initially, ang i-record mo kay expense. So, debit ka og expense or rent expense, EXP na nakabutang, 20K, credit ka og cash. So, mo siyang initial entry nimo. Now, ang adjustment entry nimo sa rent sa expense method, say for example, same lang gyapon nga circumstances wherein 10,000 was already expired and 10,000 is still remaining. So since nag-record na kag expense nga 20, take note, ang dapat lang nimo nga expense ang expired nga portion. Pero nag-expense na kadaan og 20. So himuon nimo i-adjust nimo ang expense nimo nga 20, buhinan nimo og 10. So mag-credit ka og rent expense, nakabutang rent expense 20k credit, debit ka og prepaid rent, PR na nakabutang 20k. So, ang effect ani sa expense method, rent expense 20k, credit cash 20k, prepaid rent 10k, 10k lang. Ay 10k lang ang nag-expire, ang remaining. Nya, credit rent expense 10k. So, ang effect, asset nimo or ang prepaid rent nimo 10k. And ang imong expense kay 10k ra kihapon. So, ang effect sa duha, wala ra. Ang approach lang nimo sa expense would be, or ang approach lang nimo sa recording would be different. However, the effect of to your balances would be the same. So that is how you initially record using the asset method and the expense method, and how you adjust. Take note na lang, dapat ang i-analyze ninyo unsa effect. Wait up. I think na siya illustration later. Na siya problem later, fully. Okay, number 17. Sige. So if an entity uses the expense method, so if an entity uses the expense method of initial recording of expenses, so kung mag-ingon kag expense method, diri ka, so nag-record kag rent expense, nag-credit ka og cash. So ang year-end adjusting entry nimo, unsa to adjusting entry nato? Nag-record ta og asset, nag-debit ta og asset, nag-credit ta og unsa man? Nag-credit ta og expense. So asa man ang na-match ang nga description sa mga choices. Unsa nga letter?
Letter C, sir.
Correct, no? Letter C. So nag-credit ang expense for the unexpired portion. So gi-cancel out nato, gitangtang nato kay dili man siya dapat i-expense. Diba? Kay unexpired pa siya gani, nganong i-expense nimo. And mag-record tag asset for the recording of the unexpired portion. So crediting account for the unexpired portion of the advance payments made. Okay. So answer for number 17, letter C. Okay. Number 18, if an entity uses the asset method na naman, of initially recording of prepaid expenses, the year-end adjusting entry involves, so under the asset method, asset pa imong record. However, kailangan nimo i-recognize ang expense for the expired portion. So debiting an expense for the expired portion. Diba? Asset method. You debit an expense for the expired portion. So letter B. Sige. So guys, the answer is letter B. No? Namin mga nag-letter C. Sige. Letter B, guys. So letter C is expense method siya. No? Ang kailangan man nimo i-recognize sa asset method banggo, di ba kay kung asset method, nag-recognize ka initially og asset, pero kung since na nilapas naman ang time or nag-flow ang time niya, nanay na expire nga portion, so yung katong nga na-expire nga portion, i-recognize to nimo kay wala man ka nag-recognize initially. Okay. So, errors revealed by a trial balance exclude. Unsa man? Journalizing the entries twice, no? So, kung number 2, wrong ni siya. Kay balance lamang gihapon, nadubli lang ka. So, dili nimo ma-detect sa trial balance. Ang number 1, ma-detect nimo. So transplacement error kay nasayop ka og pag-place. Atong example na to gahapon na transplacement siya. Instead nga credit imo pag-place sa accumulated depreciation, butang niya sa debit, so na disbalance. Ang transposition, nagkabali-bali ang numbers, no? So muna siya ang mga errors na ma-detect sa trial balance. Ang kanang mga errors na maka-cause sa trial balance na dili mag-equal. So, number 20. Pila ni siya itong theories ay. Padagan. Dalaw na to. Sige. So which of the following is a temporary or nominal account? Bunataan niyo eh. Allowance for bad debts is a contra asset account. So again, contra assets are assets which are deducted to a main account, no? So this is a permanent account. Doubtful account expense is an expense account or a nominal account. Owner's drawings is also a nominal account that is close to equity. Unearned income is a liability account. So that is a permanent account. So therefore, letter C ang answer. Number 2 and number 3. So the answer for number 20 is letter C. Okay. Number 21, by the way guys, just an announcement, nakalimot ko pag-announce. So no class tonight. Again, I don't think I can make it. Di na ako makaya until 7. So until 4:30 or 5. Kita lang ta Friday atong next na meeting, di ba, sa Phil 124. So ara na lang ta mag-discuss og proper for Phil 124. However, since it is class hours maghapon, I will be giving you a lecture videos that you end an activity for you to do. Pero mag-discuss ko Friday na. Ano na lang, for your advanced reading and for your advanced answering. Of course, to give you an incentive, the activity will be graded. Okay, so for Phil 124. Now for next topic, which is cash, let's see if unsa atong mahuman karon. If dili na to mahuman, if short ta og time, okay ramon sa kuha nga mag-discuss ta next week lang magyapon, because actually mas ganahan ko nga i-discuss face to face ang ACC 106 proper. Face to face na lang, no? Sige, anyway, we can if we have time, we'll start our discussion, but if not, we can finish it by next week. It's fine. Laban ra. Of course, I'll give you an activity in advance because morning is activity time, and I'll make sure to give you a lecture videos for cash and PPE, no? For you to check. Sige, going back. So 21. Okay. If during an accounting period, an expense item has been incurred and consumed but not yet paid or recorded, then the end of adjusting entry would involve unsa man. Unsa ni siya ang unsay tawag ani sa 21, guys? Unsay tawag ani? Unsay tawag ani sa 21? This is called a what? Correct, no? Accrued expense or an accrual of an expense. Very good. Accrued expense. Again, accrued expense, are those expenses already incurred or consumed but not yet paid. So when we adjust for an accrued expense, so what is our debit? Ang sa atong i-debit sa accrued expense? Debit what? debits, expense, credit, what? Unsay pares ana sa expense, a payable or a liability. Unsa man siya dire? A liability and an expense account. Letter C. So accrued liability and an expense. Letter A is wrong because again guys, ako na si dukdok sa inyong ulo nga ang adjustments dili pwede tanan real accounts. There is no way nga na liability account and na asset account sa adjustment. An asset or a contra asset and an expense account pwede, adjustment for bad debt expense or adjustment for accumulated depreciation. A receivable account and a revenue account pwede pod, no? For accrued revenue. But we're talking here about expenses, so that is an accrued expense or accrued payable, that is letter C, a liability and an expense account. Number 22, okay, unsa naman sad ni? So, determine if true or false, no? Okay. The accrual for depreciation expense can, wrong. Dili siya ma-reverse. There is profit if the income summary account is debited when closing to an equity account. Correct, no? Diba, profit, it would increase your equity. So, agree ba ka mo? Profit increases your equity. Agree? Diba? So, agree, diba? Ang profit increases your equity. How do you increase your equity? Ginaunsa nimo? Ginaunsa nimong equity? To increase equity, what is your ginaunsa nimo siya? Credit, correct. So, to increase your equity or to close the income summary, gina-debit nimong income summary and you credit your equity since nag-increase imong equity, that is net income. So, if debited ang income summary, that is net income. Number 23, a subsidiary ledger, no? SL. Asa man siya listing of components of account balances, no? Letter B. No, I'm not gonna explain it anymore. Okay, ganina pa ng SL. So 24, let's go. 23, letter B. 24. Which of the following statement is incorrect? So let's go over all items. Incorrect atong ginapangita. Letter A. Accounts in the ledger follow the T account format wherein the left side is known as the debit side while the right side is known as the credit side. So, correct ni siya, di ba? Kung ginabalik-balik gahapon na ang ledger, pwede na siya nato i-express in terms of a T account. So, ledger, the left side here is the debit, DR, and the right side is the credit. Again, ledger can be expressed in the form of a T account. Number B, letter B, not all accounts both have a general and subsidiary ledger. Correct. No? Unsa nga mga accounts ang walay general ledger, subsidiary ledger? Usually kanang mga mga cash, no? Wala man ay SL ang cash. Mga PPE can have a subsidiary ledger. Usually, ang naay subsidiary ledger, ang AR, ang AP, ang PPE. So, some other items like mga prepayments, mga cash, wala na sila yung mga SL. So, this is also correct. Letter C, the year-end adjusting entries made for prepaid expenses under the asset method can be reversed at the beginning date of the subsequent accounting period. Okay. Naka-remember pa ka mo sa akong gisulat ganina? Unsa ganito? Accrued expenses, accrued income, prepaid expenses under the what? Unsa itong gina-reverse? Prepaid expenses under expense method. Correct. So ang gina-reverse lang nato, prepaid expenses under the expense method. And lastly, deferred revenue under the income method. No? So that would make letter C wrong. Letter D is the preparation of worksheet is optional. So worksheet is just similar to the trial balances, no? Daghan sa nga ang di ba ang worksheet kay ang content sa worksheet kay trial balance unadjusted trial balance, adjustments, after adjustments, adjusted trial balance, closing, and post-closing trial balance. So, ang content na sa worksheet, di ba, katong ipang-mention ako, tulo, ng mga content sa worksheet, puro tanan na optional. So, therefore, if katong tulong na content sa worksheet optional, ang worksheet kay optional pod. So, letter D is also correct. So, the answer for 24 is letter C. Okay, let's go to 25. Okay, so ano siya, which statement is correct? Correct atong ginapangita? The trial balance can only reveal errors that will cause the total debits and credits to be unequal. Okay, na I guess this is already understood and have been emphasized already. So ma-detect lang sa trial balance ng mga errors nga maka-cause sa debits and credits to be unequal. Correct. The preparation of the unadjusted and the post-closing trial balance and preparation of financial statements are optional in the accounting cycle. Correct or wrong? Correct or wrong? Unsang nakaparong?
Preparation of financial statement.
Yes, correct, no? Guys, ang purpose na nag-accounting cycle pata, nag-accounting pata, tungod aning sa financial statements. No? Financial statements is the end product of accountants. So, mo na siya ang summary, no, as well as mo ni siya ang ginatawag natong financial report. No? In the financial report is the thing that makes us relevant as accountants, no? So therefore, required yun siya. Kailangan yun ta maghimo og financial statements because other than the fact na required siya sa mga regulators, ni SEC kailangan siya, ni BIR kailangan siya ni investors, no? Mabawaan nila nga earning pa ba sila? Or unsa na bang status sa ilahang company. 26. Which of the following statement is true regarding debits and credits? True. Atong ginapangita. So let's go over everything. Before adjustment, debits will not equal credits. Wrong. Again, in all phases or in all steps of the accounting cycle, the debit and the credits are equal. Letter B, the rules for debit and credit and the normal balance of the share capital are the same for liabilities. Correct or wrong? Is B correct or wrong? B is correct, no? Diba? What's your entry to increase liability? Di ba credit? What's your entry to increase equity or capital? Credit, di ba gihapon? Now, in reverse, to decrease liability, debit. To decrease capital, debit. So, the rules for the normal balances of debit and credits for share capital is the same as liabilities. So C and D is wrong, but let us read why they are wrong. So in the income statement, revenue is increased by a debit. Oh, wala na. Wrong. Revenue is increased by a credit. Letter D, on the income statement, debits are used to increase account balances, whereas on the statement of financial position, credits are used to increase account balances. Wrong. In the income statements, debits are used to increase expenses and debits are used to decrease revenue. In the financial position, credits are used to decrease assets, increase liability, increase owner's equity. And debits are used to increase asset, decrease liability, decrease owner's equity. Abo na mo ana. Number 27. Which of the following is an example of an accrued expense? Okay. Depreciation expense, no. The property tax incurred during the year to be paid next year. This is correct, no? Letter B. Rent earned during the current year to be received at the end of the year. So this is accrued income. Letter C is accrued income. Letter D is wrong. D is simply wrong. Ang debit mo dapat equipment, not an expense. D is simply wrong. Number 28, the recording phase. So recording on sa content sa recording, analyzing, journalizing, posting, asa man diya? Kana ang letter B, no? This is summarizing na. So reporting. So letter A, letter C, and letter D under recording phase. Ang letter B, this is summarizing phase. Saka na. MMA. Wala. Summarizing. So any questions on 28? Karama na siya. 29, which of the following is not a principal purpose of a trial balance? Okay. So let's go over. So which it supplies a listing of open accounts in their balances. No, correct. So nakay accounts and nakay debits and credits, their balances. It is the basis for any adjustments to the account balances. Correct? It provides that debits and credits are equal. Mo siyang pinaka-correct. It proves that debits and credits were properly entered in the ledger accounts. No. Dili siya makaprove na debits and credits were properly entered in the ledger account. Why? Because there are errors na dili ma-detect sa trial balance. So the fact nga na ay mga errors na dili ma-detect sa trial balance proves that debits and credits can be entered improperly. So dili meaning nga balance imong debits and credits properly entered na tanan, di ba? So therefore, D is wrong. Number 30. Which one of the following is a purpose of adjusting entries? Okay. Padanghan. Okay. Number 1, so apportion the proper amounts of revenue and expense to the current accounting period. Correct. No? So, di ba, ang adjusting entries natay mga mixed accounts like accrued expenses, accrued revenue, deferred revenue. So, kana, ginagamit nato or we use adjusting entries to apportion the revenue portion and the expense or revenue and expense portion to the with the asset or the liability portion. Ato siyang ginatunga into expense or asset or expense and revenue. Expense and liability. So number one is a purpose of adjusting entries. Number two is to establish the proper amounts of assets and liabilities in the balance sheet, correct? To accomplish the objective of offsetting the revenue of the period with all the expenses incurred in generating that revenue. Number three is correct. Ang tawag ani guys sa number three, please take note, matching. Now again, ato kibutan ako ganina, katong matching nga gi-mention nako, di ba gi-associate nako siya sa adjusting. So number three, mo rin siyang meaning ka, matching. You match your revenue to your expenses. Again, ang matching means that revenue cannot be recognized, no, with no expenses, or you recognize revenue with the associated expenses. Number four, to prepare the revenue and expense accounts for recording transactions of the following period. Okay, number four is wrong. No, wrong siya. This is number four. Unsa ni siya number four? This, ang unsa ni siya? Adjusting ni siya or unsa ni siya nga entries? Reversing. Reversing. So again, ang number four, this pertains to reversing entries actually. So not adjusting entries. Okay, clear ta ana. So any questions on number 30 before we go to number 31? Okay. So let's go to 31. So number 31, please take note guys, this is just the definition of an account. So basic storage of information. So that is account. Again, please take note, 31, definition of an account. 32, adjusting entries that should be reversed include those for prepaid or unearned items that, okay, unsa man. So create an asset or a liability account. Ang gina-reverse, reverse na. Sige, ako sige na-analyze ha. So, ang gina-reverse lang nato again, balik ko nato. For prepaid and unearned, kay katulang originally entered as revenue. No? Kay kung prepaid under the expense method and unearned items under the income method. So, asa man pinakorek ani? Again, adjusting entries that should be reversed for prepaid or prepaid expenses recorded under the expense method and unearned revenue prepared under the income method or revenue method. So answer letter D. So again, please take note, only adjusting entries for unearned income under the income method and prepaid expenses under the expense method are subject to reversing entries. Ang pares ana nila accrued income and accrued expenses. So again, ang upat nga gina-reverse, accrued income, accrued expense, prepaid expenses under the expense method, unearned expenses under the income, unearned revenue, sorry. Unearned revenue under the revenue or income method. So, 4 items. 32 letter D. So the company, so number 33. The company initially records payments in advance or in the balance sheet accounts and make reversing entries when appropriate. So which of the following year-end adjusting entries should be reversed? So the entry to record supplies used during the period. Unsa man ni siya? So letter A, entry to record supplies used during the period. Unsa man ning implications ani sa letter A? So ang adjusting entry nimo sa letter A daw, nag-record ka og expense, di ba? Nganong expense? Because ang entry nimo to record the supply na gigamit. So therefore, when you are recording sa supply na gigamit, ang i-debit nimo or ang i-record nimo kay ang nagamit nimo, which is an expense, di ba? Na-use na siya. So debit expense, credit, prepaid. So unsa na siya? That's prepaid asset or prepaid expenses recorded originally using the asset method. And if prepaid expenses siya recorded originally using the asset method, dili siya ma-qualify for reversal. Budget expense wala gina-reverse. The entry to record service fees earned by year-end but not billed. Okay. So kani, natawag ane. This is accrued revenue. Di ba? Unsa gani atong gina-reverse? Accrued expense, accrued revenue, prepaid expense using the expense method, unearned revenue using the revenue or income method. So letter C, nasulod siya sa letter sa kaduha nato, which is accrued revenue. Again, letter C, pabutang ko sa inyong notes or sa inyong sa kaning file nga gina-keep ninyo. This one gina-describe accrued revenue. Sige, pabutang na lang ko guys. Letter A describes letter A describes a prepaid expense originally recorded using the asset method, which does not qualify for a reversal. Letter B, bad debts are not reversed. Okay na siya, no need for explanation. Letter C, ang gina-describe kay accrued revenue. Letter D, the entry to record the portion of service fee received in advance that is earned. Okay. At year-end. So kaning letter D, ang gina-describe ang gi-recognize nimo sa year-end or ang gi-adjust nimo kay income. So therefore, ang initial nimo nga gi-record kay liability. So this one, unearned liability recorded originally using the liability method. Again, unearned liability or unearned revenue originally recorded as a liability. Ang letter D. So, does not qualify for reversal. Ang kailangan lang at nato i-reverse dire kay ang letter C. Okay, 34. Adjustments are often prepared, letter D, after the statement of financial statement or after the statement of financial position date and dated as of that date. Okay. Okay. So unsay pasabot guys sa statement of financial position date? Unsa siyang or ano na lang para dili kay siya mo sa dila, balance sheet date. Unsay pasabot sa balance sheet date guys? So muna siya ang cut-off period. So say for example, ang mga companies usually would have a statement of financial position date or a balance sheet date of December 31. So ang adjusting entries are recorded after December 31. Sir, ngano man? Nganong mag-entry pa ta kay nahuman naman ang year? Mo din ang nature sa adjusting entries because there are facts and circumstances, no, wherein it already exist na siya during year end. However, wala pa nato na clarify or wala pa nato na determine kung unsa jud ang amounts. So therefore, we have to wait for the year to end or for the period to end. Like let's say for example, kanang mga utilities, di ba? Mga utilities nato, kung December siya, ang bill nato sa utilities, sampo sa kuryente, kung December 31 nato nga kuryente, kano sa man siya nga mabill? Usually di ba January na? So kailangan nato i-record ang ang utilities expense. December pa lang kay pertaining man to sa December nato nga electricity consumption, di ba? So dira nato dapat i-record ang expense. Pero wala ba ta kay ba kung pila tong bayaran? So maghuwat ta until year end or until next month nga makadawat tag bill. So para makahibaw ta pila ang atong i-portion or pila atong i-part or pila atong ibutang nga accrued expense. So that's why adjustments are prepared after year end, no? And dated as of that date, correct. Okay. So kung dili siya pwede nga dated after that date, kay kung mag-i-date na to on January, sa January siya masulod. Ay dapat isulod na to sa sa December. So December 31 po nato i-date ang atong mga adjusting entries. So number 35, so which of the following statements best describes the purpose of the closing entries? Obviously, pinaka-obvious na answer, letter D. To reduce the temporary accounts to zero, so that they may be used to accumulate the revenue, expenses, and dividends of the next periods. Number 36, this is the definition of a chart of accounts. Oh no, sorry. And their balances. Sorry. This is trial balance definition. Okay, number 37, this concept views the transactions of having a two-fold effect on values, a value received and a value parted with, and each transaction is recorded using at least two accounts. This is duality. Now, the concept. Okay. The double entry, no, basin maglibog ka mo sa letter B and letter C. Ang letter C or ang double entry, it just means that an entry or a journal entry should have at least one debit and one credit. Pero ang concept na wherein the double entry is based on is the duality concept. Okay. So post-closing trial balance, what? So let's go over all items. So 38 consists of statement of financial position accounts only, correct? No, because the temporary accounts or the income statement accounts are closed. Shows that the accounting equation is in the balance sheet at the end of the accounting period, correct? Is in balance, sorry. Correct kung gyapon kay trial balance nga, di ba? Dapat balance sila. Letter C, will balance if the transaction is not journalized and posted, or if a transaction is journalized and posted twice. Correct. Letter C, these are errors which cannot be detected by at trial balance. If wala ka nag-journalize sa isa ka transaction, balance na gyapon imong TB. If nadoble nimo imong entry sa isa ka transaction, balance gyapon imong TB. So, balance, correct lang siya gyapon, hindi siya ma-detect. So, it will still be balanced. So, therefore, letter D is correct. Now, all of the choices are correct regarding the post-closing TB. Okay. So, let's finish this and let's have a 10-minute break. Just so that, or 10 to 15 minutes break. Depende lang. Which of the following is a real account? Okay. Freight in, freight out, these are expenses. Accumulated depreciation, this is a contra asset account. So this is a real account. Interest expense is a nominal account. So number 39, letter C. Under the cash basis accountings, revenues are earned when they are received or realized. Letter C. Sir, what's the difference between earned and realized? Earned is you have already rendered service, but wala pa ka, well, earned na kay na render og service. So meaning, or under the accrual method, that is already an income, no, under the accrual method. So under accrual method, or accrual basis, revenue are recorded when they are earned, meaning nakarender na kasang service, nakadeliver na kasi mong goods. Under the cash basis, realized mean when na-realize nimo ang imuhang gi-render nga service or ang fee, meaning na collect na nimo na nakinadawat na parta. That's the difference between earned and realized. Earned is service or the obligation has been rendered, and realized now the cash has been collected. So the answer is letter D. Cash basis of accounting, revenue is recognized when cash is collected. Okay, so 10-minute break. So let's go back. 250, and let's answer the problems. Sige. Since it's kind of a long discussion, we'll move our discussion for cash and cash equivalents to next week. Again, it's not going to be prefer po na ako, mas ganahan ko nga mag-discuss ta sa proper na financial accounting and reporting face-to-face. So preferred po na ako actually. So for now, I'm just gonna be leaving you with an activity for cash and cash equivalents. So you will have your time to self-study or study in advance during this week and until Monday and Tuesday. Tuesday. Wednesday man ang Okay, so yeah. So section A, atong Monday nga session, ingkabot na mo daan kay para makaano mo sa sa Wednesday nga session. Well, I'm gonna make a different a deadline for activities kaysa activities for both sections A and B would have a deadline on Monday. Monday ang deadline na to sa activities kaysa para aron fair. Kaya kung mag-deadline og ang section A og Monday, mag-discuss ta sa Monday pod, kay ba na to ang section B sa mga answer sa Wednesday. So dapat by Monday pa lang nakasabit na. So kana. Sige, anyway, again, we'll skip with the discussion of cash and cash equivalents. Kaya raman siya Monday. So until mag-skip to sa discussion sa cash and cash equivalents until Monday. Na mag-send ng COOG activity and lecture videos for cash and cash equivalents as well as PPE. Okay, again, 10 minutes break. Let's go back. Let's get back 2:51. Oh. Ay, di man yung problem. Theory man din eh. Anyway. It's application. Save as. Kaya ay ako pa tayo doon eh. DIY. DIY answer is solutions. DIY solutions in process. Experiential debt fund. Okay. Let's answer. So number one. So 4,650 debit to utilities expense was incorrectly posted as a 465 debit. So what is the effect of this error on the trial balance and the utilities expense account? Okay, sige. Nag-debit ta og utilities pero ang debit lang ang instead ng 4,650 atong gisulat 465. So this is unsay effect ani? Unsay effect ani sa atong TV guys? And by how much? Would the debit column be too low or too high? By how much? Okay, check. The debit would be lower by 4185. The debit column, the trial balance would be 4185 too low, and utilities expense would be what? Understated, no? By 4185. So the answer would be letter A. Answer is A. So number 2, I'm gonna make another sheet. Puro man yung theory ay, lang. Number 8, 9, sige. Balik ako sa other window ha. Kaya di man din mag-require of computations dyan. At tab. So answer is letter A. Number 2, the trial balance of Leo Corp at September 30, 2020 are, okay, wala na balance. 992640, 1026,480. Okay. Sige. Actually, in number 2, we can simulate, no? Pwede na ito ma-simulate. So, number one, an item in the cash book 6160 for payment of rent has not been entered in the rent payable account. Okay, so sorry. Unsay ano ani, effect ano sa 6160? For a while lang. Error ni siya kay dapat i-enter man nimo sa rent. Payment of rent is not been entered in the rent payable account. The balance in the motor expenses is correctly listed. When corrected. Sige, i-parks na ako ning number 1 na. Kay actually di sa kwa. Naglibog sa ako sa number 1. So i-parks na to ni. Number 2, the balance on the motor expense account 227,680 has incorrectly been listed in the trial balance as a credit. So obviously kaning sa yun sayop ni siya. No, ang tawag ani kay transplacement error. Again, palista na lang ko ang tawag ani transplacement. Di ba ang expense, motor expenses manggod siya, and expenses should have a balance of debit. However, it was incorrectly listed in the TB as a credit. So ang tawag ani transplacement error. Number 3, 6160 proceeds of sale of a motor vehicle has been posted to a debit of motor vehicle asset account. So unsay effect ani? Proceeds of a sale. So ang entry na to ani dapat sa number 3, debit to motor vehicle asset sale man. So dapat mag-debit ta og cash niya. However, would it cause the balance to be equal still? Equal lang man gyapon, di ba? Kay wrong lang ang pag-post. However, kaninga type of error is or cannot be detected no in the trial balance, because even though wrong imong posting, the trial balance would still be equal. Wrong lang ang account na gigamit. So number 3, no, surely no is wrong. So therefore kaning choices nga na I3 would also be wrong. So ang pangitaon na lang nato either 1 and 2, 2 and 4. Okay, ang number 4, the balance of 21,520 on the rent receivable account has been omitted from the trial balance. So number 4, errors of omission. So na-omit nimo ang 21,520, meaning pasabot ani sa number 4, wala nimo na-appeal ang rent receivable account na balance na 21,520. Of course, it would cause your trial balance to be or to not be equal. Okay, so just to illustrate, now let's make a simulation, no? Okay, the amounts are there actually. Okay. So debit, credit. Uh, 102,6,480. Number one, item in the cash book 6160 for payment of rent has not been entered in the rent payable account. So, rent payable, wala ta credit. However, nasa sa cash book, sa natay payment. So, the entry there, sige, again, let's just skip over number one lang sa may parts na to. Number two, sure ta nga, i-transfer na to dapat ang motor expenses, gibutang na to siya sa credit, pero dili siya dapat ibutang. So, tangtango na to siya sa credit. Yeah, idungag na to siya sa debit. Correct the error, the transplacement error. Okay, gets ko na. Kaya ang 6160, same lang man siya sa 3 and 1. So, kaning 6160, nindot siya actually no problem. Number 3. Sige, I'll explain for a while lang. The 6160 proceeds of has not been posted to the debit. So, payment of rent. So, ang entry na to sa number 1, di ba? Debit, credit cash, kay payment man siya. Debit, supposedly rent payable. However, wala ta naka-debit. So, supposedly, ang himo ko nato to correct this one is to decrease debit. However, number 3 manggod, bisag dili na to i-correct ang 1 and 3, although both are errors, ang tawag nila duha kay, offsetting, di ba? Nag-offsetting sila duha. Anong proceeds of sale has not been posted in the debit of motor vehicle, correct saan siya? Dapat buhinan po nato ato ang debit. Nagbuhin tag debit dire, nagbuhin tag credit. Kana. Number 4. Amo lang nato tanaw nato. 21,520 on the rent receivable has been omitted in the trial balance. So wala nato na-appeal ang rent receivable which is a debit nga 21,520. So dapat nato siya i-butang. I-click siya ang question, ganang paani. So I think by doing this one, we would have an equal delay. So kung sa'yo, has been omitted from the trial balance, 27 incorrectly been listed in the trial balance sa credit, ay balik. Tama ba? Motor expenses, dapat okay lang difference nila kay, so 25, the balance of 51,520. So mag-add ko dire, kina-omit man siya. 992, 102,6,480. Correct. So 4 is correct. 61. What's the difference na ito, ba? Yeah, number 2, kay the balance on the motor expense account has been incorrectly listed in the trial balance as a credit. Nasayop siya og butang as credit. So to correct that, mag-minus ko diri, mag-add ko. Sorry ko nasayop. The balance of 20 minus. Dali lang ha. 992 640 1026 480 61 60 25 520 27 680. Ano naman si Ron? Di siya, saan siya pag ano ni? Dalang ha, kay, so let's revisit. Oh. Ang 1 and 3, maong tama lang, maong dili lang gihapon, okay ra siya, nga dili siya, no? Kaya karoon ako realize nga ang 1 and 3, offsetting siya. So therefore, the error in 1 is corrected by error in 3, and the error in 3 is corrected by the error in 1. Now, ang effect sa error sa 2, kay the balance of the motor has been incorrectly listed in the trial balance as a credit. So na-list siya sa credit, so tangtangon siya sa credit, ibutang siya sa debit, kamo na siyang tama. So arita mag-focus sa 4. The balance of 21 520 on the rent receivable has been omitted from the trial balance. Na-omit siya. Ay, 21,520. Okay, bona de ko. Sayo pa kong amount. 25,520. Okay, kana di ay. Now, plano, sige, correct. Sir, question. So, sir, nganong dili 1 and 3? Yes, 1 and 3 are errors, but effectively, even if you don't correct 1 and 3, ang tango na to si 1 and 3 ha. Ang tango na to si 1 and 3, that the trial balance would still be equal. However, the question is, correct ba ni siya? Wrong gihapon. Because when you are going to be presenting your financial statements, you should also correct your error in 2 and 1 and 3. Pero ang pangutana lang man, kung makorek nimo ang at least duha na unsa ang mga possible errors nga mga cause sa trial balance to agree. So 1 and 3 bisag i-correct nimo ni sila duha, dili gihapon mo agree ang trial balance kay offsetting man sila duha. So kailangan nimo i-correct ang 2 and 4. Okay. It's been omitted. So, ako ni siya ibutang diri ha kay ano ni siya, more siya medyo tricky siya question. So, if you have time, you may practice on this one. Okay. So let's go to the next questions. So answer, asa tong answer gani na to? Answer 2 and 4. Now number 3, the debit side of a trial balance totals 800 more than the credit side. Which one of the following errors would fully account for the difference? Okay, so simulate gihapon ta. So na difference. Okay. Letter A, 400 paid for plant maintenance has been correctly entered in the cash books, no? And credited to the plant asset account. So correct lang, well, the entry is wrong, no? In the cash book, so ang entry ni mo ani is a credit to is a debit to cash and credit to plant asset or PPE account. So sayop ang entry because for plant maintenance, the entry should be debit maintenance expense credit to cash. Pero ang gi-entry nila dire kay a credit to the asset, plant asset, and a debit to cash. So effectively, it is an error. However, it would still cause the trial balance to be equal. So, dili siya cause nga magka-difference of 800 ang trial balance. Debit is more than the credit. Letter B, discount received 400 has been debited to discount allowed account. Okay. So discount received. So unsay entry ang entry ani kay unsa ni siya? Discount received, no? So a debit to discount, no? And a credit to allowance, no? Discount on sales and allowance, a credit to sales. Nya discount allowed. Okay. Sige, part na akong B kay di ko sure kung unsay pasabot ani sa B. Sa C sa ta. So ang A is wrong. Ang C, a receipt of 800 for commission receivable has been omitted from all records. So omission man siya. So wala kay magi-entry. So bisag unsaon nimo, bisag since wala man jud kay magi-entry, so the trial balance would still be equal. So okay ta diha. Letter D, petty cash balance of 800 has been omitted. The same lang gyapon, omission. So obviously medyo naglibog ko nganong ansang letter B. Discount received. Okay. So ang entry ani dapat sa discount received should be an accounts payable, a debit to accounts payable, a credit to purchase discounts. Okay, kita man nakadawat og discount. Pero ang gihimo ay okay. So gihimo diri nga entry sa letter B kay discount received kay gihimo kay accounts payable nya gidebit na pod og sales discount o discount allowed man nya walay credit. So effectively there is a difference of 800 pesos and it would make our debit higher than credit. So debit side is more than the credit side, 800. So kana. So that's letter B. So B is the correct answer. And again, letter A is wrong because though the entry is wrong, however, correct lang magbalance ang gyapon siya. No? Kay naay 400 nga debit, naara po'y 400 nga credit. Letter C and D is wrong because both are omitted. So bisag bisag unsa man nimo, since wala man nag-record, walay difference. Kay wala man kay gi-debit, wala pud kay gi-credit. Okay. So medyo ano ni siya, medyo gray siya nga problem. So I want you guys to pa-highlight anong klase nga problem kay medyo ano siya, medyo confusing, especially on the wording. No, dili kay siya ano. Ako maka-answer ko ane, but I can answer it through elimination. So actually I'm not really quite sure why B is the answer, but I know that A, C, and D is wrong. So that's why I concluded B is the answer. So dagan ana nga mga ano, since we are using the MCQ or mag-MCQ man ta. So the process of elimination is a valid way to approach a question or a problem. Okay? So kana. So number 4, a business pays weekly salaries of 20,000 on Friday for a 5-day week ending on that day. The adjusting entry necessary at the end of the fiscal period ending on Thursday is how much? Kani guys? Common ni siya nga question. Pila man guys? Okay. Weekly salary is 20 and ang 20,000 that's good for 5 days. So how many per day guys? 20,000 divided by 2 at 5. Pila man? 4,000? Correct ba? 5 times 4, 20. Now, to record accrual, fiscal period ending on Thursday. Pila man dapat atong i-salaries expense? Pila guys atong i-salaries expense? 16K, no? So mag-record ta og liability nga 16K and mag-record ta salaries expense nga 16K. So the answer there would be letter C. Debit salaries expense, credit salaries payable. Okay. Number 5, the following adjusting journal entry was found on page 4 of the journal. Select the best explanation for the entry. Okay, so what is that? Unsa ni siya? Unsa ang initial recording nimo ani guys? What did you use? Did you use the revenue method or the income method, or did you use the the liability method? Unsa nga method imong gigamit sa imong original ani? Sa kaning adjustment? Unsa nga method imong gigamit before sa answer? For you to have this adjustment. Unsa nga method imong gigamit? Liability method or revenue method or income method?
Liability method, sir.
Correct, no? You used the liability method. Now, because under liability method, you initially recorded a liability for the received fees. So in your adjustment, at adjusting entry, dapat mag-adjust ka, tangtangon nimo katong earned na portions, imong unearned revenue, and you recognize the fees earned. Okay, so what's the best description for number 5? Letter what? Letter B, no? Correct. So record fees earned at the end of the month. Again, kaning adjusting entry because you use the liability method. So number 6. Kapit na ta guys. Makaabot ag 4. At the end of the current year, the prepaid insurance account showed a debit, the balance of 5,000. So end of the year, prepaid insurance is 5,000. The balance at the beginning of the year was 6,000. And during the year, insurance premium paid amounting to 8,000. Assuming insurance premium payments are initially entered in the prepaid insurance account, the adjusting entry at the end of the year would include what? Okay, sige. So, ang insurance premium payments are initially entered into prepaid insurance account. So therefore, we used what? We used the asset method. Okay. So kailangan na to i-determine, guys, since asset method banta, how much is the expense? Now, wala magibutang dire. Diba? How much ang dapat na to expense? So in order for us to compute for the expense, no, we can actually use what we call the constructive method, no? So ano ni siya? So to use this one, we can use the T account, no? The T account concept. So T account. So this is insurance or prepaid insurance. Ang prepaid insurance na to, ang beginning balance, pila ang beginning balance, guys? The balance at the beginning of the year was 6,000. So let's put 6,000 here. Beginning. 6K. Na end of the year, ang balance na lang sa atong prepaid insurance kay 5K. So nagsugod tag 6K, nag-end taog 5K. So unsa ang mga transaksyon nakakos nga nag-move ang 6K, nahimo siya 1K at the end. Nagsugod tag 6, nahimo sag 5. So unsa pang mga transaksyon nga maka-effect sa atong prepaid insurance? During the year, insurance premium paid amounted to how much? 8,000. So nagbayad tag 8,000 insurance premium. Unsang entry nato sa prepaid insurance? Initial, sa pagbayad nato sa 8K nga insurance, di ba, during the year nagbayad tag 8K nga insurance. Nya ni ana sila, upon payment, insurance premiums are initially entered in the prepaid insurance account. So entry nato sa 8K, unsa tong i-debit sa 8K? Debit what? Debit prepaid insurance, credit cash. Now to add to this one, mag-add taog 8K. So nagsugod tag 6K, nag-add tag 8K, pero nag-end up taog 5K at the end of the year. So therefore, during the year, pila man na nga insurance atong na-consume para mabutang nato diri sa credit nga side. Pila atong na-consume nga insurance? 8 plus 6, that's sure. 14. 14. So nag-credit taog 14K sa atong prepaid insurance. Unsa nga entry or unsa nga possible entry nato dire nganong nag-ingon ta nga na credit sa 14K. Unsa ang entry ani dapat? Debit what? Debit? Ay, sorry. Tama ba? Sorry, 9K ra di ay. Not 14. 9. 6 plus 8, 14 minus 9, 5. Sorry ha. 9. Dili 14. 6 plus 8, 14 minus 9, 5, di ba? Nagsugod ta og 6. Nagsugod ta og 6. Then nag-add tag 8, so total ana 14. Nya dapat mag-minus ta og 9 aron mag-end up ta og 5,000 nga ending balance. Na unsa man ang 9,000? Unsay tawag ani sa 9,000? Unsa ni siyang tawag sa 9,000? O insurance expense, or in other words, the expired insurance, correct? the expired insurance, kanang insurance nga na-consume na nato. So naka-cross ani sa credit would be the adjusting entry for the insurance. So ang entry na to ani adjustment for a debit in insurance expense, debit insurance expense of 9K, and a credit to prepaid insurance. That's why na-credit sa prepaid insurance. 9K. Go. 9K. So, unsang tama dire, a debit to insurance expense amounting to 9,000. I want everyone to highlight this problem, no, because this is what we call constructive. This is very useful, no, nga klase nga problem when you are going to be dealing with mga ingani klase, no, nga magsugod kag beginning, nga wala kay nga na kay ending. Either i-figure out nimo how much insurance was paid or how much insurance was expensed or adjusted. Okay, so let's go. Any questions on number 6? Dali lang ha. Sige, let's go to number 7. Sige, mag-Excel file ako sa number 7. Okay. Sige. So let's start. Pieces. September 30 trial balance of the company shows the following information. So TB, AR 8060, AP 6370, AD 21060, advertising expense 390, cash 7450, equipment 42120, other expenses 4940, other drawings 5460, owner's equity is 28,600 and sales 12,480. So this is similar to what we answered yesterday. So okay ra ni siya. So kamo na lang ni answer, i-DIY na lang ni siya. The answer is, let's say, similar na siya solution sa sa katong gi-discuss na to gahapon. So let's not waste our time on this. The answer is letter C. So please answer it on your own. So I think, di ba natin illustration na similar to this one, guys, no? Confirm lang. Pwede na ako mag-discuss.
Yes, sir. Tanggahapon, sir.
Sige. So, di na ito mag-ano ni. Tagaan lang ako mo nag-answer key. Answer key ka. C. So, arita sa pinaka-last no problem. us so that we could end this class well. Entry sa madali siya. So, extra easy. Okay, so let's start. So this is an example of a worksheet. So let us go over the items or the given. So kanay adjusted trial balance. So mag-ingon pag adjusted trial balance, all adjusting entries has been already considered. However, the income statement accounts have not yet been closed. Cash, AR, supplies, equipment, cumulative depreciation, credit, correct, accounts payable, correct, wages payable, capital stock, dividends. Now, dividends is similar siya sa drawings, guys. Dividend account is similar to drawings account. So this one is close to retained earnings account. Wala pa yung retained earnings. Okay. So again, dividends is similar to drawings. And it's not close to capital stock, it's close to retained earnings. Fees earned, that's revenue. Wages expense. Rent expense 6. Depreciation expense 5. Okay. Income statement accounts kana fees earned 47, wages, rent, depreciation. And we have a net income of 15. So 15, that's 47 revenue minus 32 total expenses. Okay. Dividend, guys, is not an income statement account, guys. That's a balance sheet account. That is deducted to retained earnings. So balance sheet, cash, 16, AR, 6, supplies, 2, equipment, 19, AD, 6, accounts payable, wages payable, capital stock, and kulang pa ta, napatay retained earnings later. Okay. Number 8. The journal entry to close revenue would be a closing entries ta. So let's go to closing entries. So just to for us to have a complete na look on the closing process, we should close first revenue. So the journal entry to close revenue is debit income summary amounting to 47, the credit to fees earned 47. So unsa man na siya? The answer would be debit fees earned, credit income summary 47. That's letter C. So number 8, letter C. 8C. Now let's close the expenses. Wages earned, wages expense. Dito sila. Dapat ka lang. Debit taog. Bali. Income summary. Dapat debit to income summary, debit to fees earned, credit to income summary. Okay. Tama na nga pa letter 8, letter C. Sorry Wages expense should be credited, income summary should be debited to close out the expenses. So wages kay 21, rent kay 6, and depreciation 5. So income summary na to total 22, 32. Our net income is 15. Now to close out income summary, that's net debit and net credit. So in debit ang income summary. Note ko guys sa entries guys ha, kay basin dili ba ko mo familiar sa corporation nga entries. So kaning income summary guys, gina-close nato siya sa corporation sa retained earnings. Now wala pa tay retained earnings diri nga nahimo. So kung mag-final na jud nga balance sheet, natay account nga retained earnings which is part of equity account. Okay. Now last na to nga i-close ang dividends. So debit retained earnings. Bawal man ni mag-dividend nga wala pa kay income. Supposedly dapat ang income nimo kay next year, ang dividend nimo next year pa. So kana mo na siyang entry, no, just to close out everything, no, the income, the expense, and the dividends. No, dividends again is similar to withdrawals or drawings. So number 8 is letter C. To close out revenue, there would be a debit to fees earned and a credit to income summary account amounting to 47. Now number 9, based on the preceding trial balance, an entry to close income summary account would be to close out income summary. So a debit to income summary 15 and a credit to retained earnings 15. So answer another letter C. So number 10, the worksheet at the end of September has 4,000 in the balance sheet credit column for accumulated depreciation. Okay. The worksheet at the end of October, again, sige, ang end na to guys is December 31, but they're talking about transactions or balances, no, in the prior months. So let's try to analyze. The worksheet at the end of September has 4,000 no, in the balance sheet credit column in the AD. Now 4,000 sa pag-September, na pag-December 6,000. So naay additional depreciation of 2,000 from September to October. September to December, sorry. The worksheet at the end of October has 4,750 in the balance sheet credit column for accumulated depreciation. What was the amount of the depreciation expense adjustment for the month of October? Obviously, that's 750. Diba? Nagsugod kag September nimo is 4,000. Nya, entry nimo, nya 4,000, diba? 4,000 imong September. Nya, pag the next month, September, October, from 4,000 accumulated depreciation, nihimo siya og 4,750. So therefore, from nakay additional depreciation expense or and additional accumulated depreciation of 750. That's simply 4,750 minus 4,000. So answer sa number 10, letter B. So, yun na no? Go. Sige. Okay. So we'll be ending our class today at this point. By the way, this is just the ano ha. Actually, di pata ano, wala pata sa financial accounting and reporting proper. No, this is just a review of what you have discussed in your first year. Okay. Kung ganito wag na ano, review of the accounting process. So basically, ano lang ni siya, recap lang ni siya sa inyong nakatunan sa pag first year. No? Dali raman siya, no? Na-discuss na ito og duha ka meeting. Sige. Nya, ang ano na to, by next week, or tonight, I will be posting lecture videos as well as activities for this week for Phil 124 and for next week for ACC 106. So I want you guys to do advanced studying for the ACC 106 and Phil 124, or financial accounting and reporting proper, no? Again, it would be very different, no, from what you have learned from pagka first year ninyo, no? Sorry, di kay ko anad mag-teach og mga first year nga subjects. Sorry po, ano. So, kana. Sige, yeah, just keep posted sa classroom guys and sa inyong mga emails. Again, tonight, no meeting for Phil 124. We will just meet again this Friday, 5 to 7. But I will be, since it's class period manjud ta, so I will be giving you a lecture video now for you to watch. You don't have to watch it immediately. Sige, taga-ang link sa GCR, budget lang, butang na ako direct. Sige. Uy, di ko sure kung ano yung pasabot niya. Namoy classmate nga nga psych. Ganong ari siya nag-enroll sa atong Phil 124 nga. Di man char naman atong Phil 124. Phil 124 in name naman ta. Di man dito Filipino. Magkataon yun yung psych o accounting. Ingnan kung mangutana to siya, ako siya ingnan nga sige ako na siya nag-chat man siya or nag-email. Anyway, chika lang. Ang na-psych nga mag-classmate ninyo. Basin, wala guro sila kahibaw nga ba? Nga dili day ni siya Filipino nga subject. Accounting di ay. Ako lang siya ingnan nga ipatangtang ng yung subject sa or ipa-change yung schedule. Yun siya. Ganahan siya, bahala siya. Ganahan siya maka-learn og accounting, bahala siya. Okay rapod. Sige guys, expect a post tonight kay klase. Technically naman dito klase tonight. Mag-post lang ko. Okay. Medyo exhausting dito. Medyo lisod mag until 7. So Friday na lang, i-move na to Friday. Yeah, next week, muna dito tong proper nga class, no? Proper na dito next week. So face-to-face na next week. So can't wait to see you. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday for both sections. For topics, for Phil 124, let's just have a different schedule. For face-to-face, although it should be, since evening mag so I prefer it to be done remotely. But since you're free on Thursday and Friday, we can also meet. Okay. Quizzes, wala pa nagsulod sa akong una-una ang mag-quiz ta. So anyway, quizzes again are done remotely. So again, focus na to dire guys, learning, no? Let's try to focus on passing the periodic exams P1 and P2, mauna itong ito ang kalaban, P1, P2, and CFE. It's those exams are it's the make or break assessments, no? So since face-to-face major siya, na lang, try to make sure nga mapasar ninyo. No, I'm not gonna be wasting your time anymore. So yeah, bye-bye. Thanks for listening.